We got Stevie, who's a concierge member, direct access to me. The left cannot be marginalized fast enough. Hate and discontent are paraded as patriotic. Some of that, that's for sure. Matt Crowell, Irving, Texas. I disagree about Howard Kurtz saying Charlie Kirk was not a saint and thus downplaying the assassination. I believe Mr. Kurtz was stating the obvious, that when tragic events happen, the public has a tendency to remember the affected persons through rose-tinted glasses. Okay, but why bother with the statement? Why bother? Particularly, 4 days after the man was shot to death, and you're saying he wasn't a saint? Why? Nobody's a saint. Does Howard Kurtz think that's a perceptive comment? Why did he say it? It was not necessary. That was my point. That you got to think about this stuff before you start to blather about it. Not necessary. Richard Miller, Gallipolis, Ohio. Got to see the Confronting Evil special on News Nation. I know it was bumped a couple of times because of coverage of Charlie Kirk. The special was fascinating. Definitely have to buy the book. And I'm going to show you a clip of the special in about 2 minutes. So thank you for watching it, Richard. Tim Miles, Roseville, California. I just finished the Kindle version of Evil. Fabulous. I knew a little about Putin, but not the whole story. I also knew about his experience running Stasi, but I didn't know that he was in charge. Yeah, that Putin chapter, 20 pages. And that's why, I mentioned President Trump when I gave him the book. I said, check out the Putin chapter. This will explain a lot of why this guy is doing what he's doing. In a moment, something you might not know. Are you feeling the impact of recent timeshare industry changes? Now more than ever, the costs of timeshare ownership far outweigh the benefits. My friends at Lone Star Transfer are the only company I trust to help you get out. Our listeners' positive feedback demonstrates why I've supported the company for years. For more than a decade, they have helped over 20,000 owners get out of the timeshare. Their exclusive options can help you get out faster and easier, more than any other option in the country. They are the only company that will give you a written guarantee and release you from your timeshare in a specific time frame. With an A+ rating at the Better Business Bureau, thousands of 5-star reviews, customer service is their top priority. For free consultation and a guaranteed solution, please call 855-551-7066. That's 855-551-7066, or go to LoneStarTransfer.com.
Tim Jones here. When life changes, which it does, you need someone you can trust, and that's Todd Sivia. The non-stuffy attorneys at Sivia Law specialize in estate planning and elder law with 7 convenient area locations. 833-995-WILL. 833-995-WILL is how you reach them. CiviaLaw.com. The first 10 people that tell them Tim Jones sent me receive a complimentary $300 strategy session. The non-stuffy attorney lawyers, Civia Law, 833-995-WILL.
Hi, it's Mark Harder with RE/MAX Results, the largest RE/MAX franchise in the region. The summer housing market is hot, and the fall market looks to be as hot. If buying or selling a home is in your future, it is time to act now. Someday is not a day on the calendar, but today is. Call me, Mark Harder, for fast results. RE/MAX Results, 314-852-8933. 314-852-8933. And start packing.
Now the O'Reilly Update brings you something you might not know. Last week, more evil enveloped the world. Vladimir Putin launched drones into Poland as the U.S. marked the 24th anniversary of 9/11. In addition, conservative influencer Charlie Kirk was shot dead in Utah. Sadly, Mr. Kirk's name joins a long list of notable civilians killed in the USA. Here are a few. In 1965, Malcolm X killed while speaking to a crowd in Harlem. 3 years later, fellow civil rights leader Martin Luther King Jr. murdered in Memphis. 1969, pregnant actress Sharon Tate stabbed to death by members of the Manson family in L.A. 1980, former Beatle John Lennon shot and killed outside his apartment in New York City. 1984, musician Marvin Gaye killed by his own father while the two were arguing. 1996, rapper Tupac Shakur gunned down in Las Vegas. 6 months later, his nemesis Biggie Smalls killed in a drive-by shooting. Neither case has been solved. 1997, Italian fashion designer Gianni Versace murdered outside his Miami mansion by a serial killer. 2025, John James, CEO of United Healthcare, assassinated while walking down a street in Midtown Manhattan. His killer, Luigi Mangione, has pleaded not guilty to all the charges, even though it's on videotape. And then last week, Charlie Kirk shot in the neck and killed in Utah. He was just 31 years old. And here's something else you might not know. Despite the large number of shootings and relatively high homicide rate, the USA remains relatively safe. According to the World Population Review, the USA ranks 67 when listing countries with the most criminality. Top of the grim list, Myanmar, Colombia, South America, Mexico, Nigeria, and South Africa. The safest place in the world, Liechtenstein in Europe. But believe me, evil is rising in America. And that is why I wrote my new book, Confronting Evil. Back after this. If you own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles and have an auto warranty about to expire or have no warranty, listen up. Car Shield as a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan is now available to the public. You can save out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Please call Car Shield now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. 800-881-0365 for a free quote. This protection plan is at an all-time low price. Drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. So please call for your free quote. 800-881-0365. 800-881-0365. Hey, what do you have to lose? 800-881-0365. Thank you for listening to the O'Reilly Update. I am Bill O'Reilly. No spin, just facts, and always looking out for you.
KL2I HD3 Clay, K270BW Bellefontaine, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. The Federal Reserve cut its key interest rate by a quarter point Wednesday and projected it would do so twice more this year as concern grows at the central bank about the health of the nation's labor market. The move is the Fed's first cut since December and lowered its short-term rate to about 4.1%. Top congressional Democrats on Tuesday rejected a short-term Republican plan to fund the government until November.
Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer and House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, both of New York, call on Republicans to come to the table and negotiate a bipartisan agreement that also extends expanded tax credits for people who get their health insurance through the Affordable Care Act, which are due to expire at the end of this year. Democrats voted more than a dozen times to extend federal funding with short-term clean continuing resolutions when former President Joe Biden was in office, and they controlled the Senate. But now they're drawing a hard line on what ordinarily would be a non-controversial funding proposal. Bernie Bennett in Washington.
President Trump was greeted in spectacular fashion at Windsor Castle, kicking off a two-day state visit to Britain.
The President and First Lady were greeted first by Prince William and his wife Catherine at the 1,000-year-old castle estate, and then by King Charles and Queen Camilla. The pageantry included a horse-drawn carriage procession, military honor guards, and mounted troops. Later, the President and First Lady visited St. George's Chapel, where they laid a wreath at the tomb of Queen Elizabeth II.
White House correspondent Greg Clugston says the day will conclude with an elaborate state banquet. Utah Valley University students are returning to classes Wednesday for the first time since an assassin struck down conservative activist Charlie Kirk in an attack that stunned the nation. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 260 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
The following is not an actor, but a real-life story from Trinity Debt Management.
Every day I speak with people who are worried and are feeling a lot of pressure because of credit card debt. That's why I'm very proud of what we do at Trinity. We just help. We give people the support they need, along with a real plan to become debt-free. Credit card bills are consolidated into a single monthly payment that is much less than what they were paying before. Most of our members end up saving thousands and even may improve their credit scores by as much as 200 points. I know from the bottom of my heart that I'm making a difference in the lives of the people we help. It just makes me really happy.
If credit card debt has you down, call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976.
My name is Julie, and I'm a Trinity counselor. Call me and become debt-free for keeps.
1-800-990-6976.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. Another hot day for Thursday, not overly humid. A low of 65 is mild early on, but then a high of 93. Mostly sunny skies. May see some spot rain or a thunderstorm west of St. Louis, but more likely staying dry here later in the afternoon and evening and just hot. And then Friday, a high of 87 degrees. Not quite as hot, but still warm. However, we do have a 30% chance to see a few showers or a thunderstorm on Friday. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
Is your portfolio prepared for the biggest risks facing investors today? Hi, it's Tim Jones. High inflation and a rapidly changing economy may impact your investments. If you haven't made appropriate changes, your portfolio may not be positioned to address some of the biggest risks in today's economy. That means it's time to request your free portfolio review from the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. You can hear their latest views on the markets and investing during On the Money, hosted by Stifel financial advisors Bob Stockdale and Eric Robert, every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. on News Talk STL 101.9. They can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create a portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free portfolio review, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com, 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas & Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
All the information I need on the drive to work.
Mike Ferguson in the morning. I keep it on throughout the day, whether it's local, national, or something big that's happening overseas.
News, analysis, and opinion.
St. Louis is #1 for conservative talk.
News Talk STL.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
The 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
The more you remove voting from Election Day, the more opportunity you're offering for people to commit fraud.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
I think the Democrats are so short-sighted in this tactic they have now to just cheat at any cost to win elections.
Lying dog-faced Tony Schultz, you said you were, but now you got to be honest. I'm going to be honest with you.
What are we doing wrong here?
As a former leader in the House, I think you can put your finger on it. It's called leadership. We don't have it.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps.
Federal Reserve cutting interest rates by a quarter point as expected to a new range of 4 to 4.25%. New Fed governor and current CEA chair Stephen Martin dissenting in favor of 50 basis point cut. The median Fed official looking for 2 more rate cuts this year, but just barely. I'll get you details on that in a second. The statement importantly says the balance of risks have shifted. Downside risk to employment has risen. Job gains have slowed. Unemployment has edged up, and economic activity has moderated.
The dissenting Fed governor there saying we should have done more, kind of proving Donald Trump's point that when it comes to Jerome Powell, it's too little too late, and it's all about politics, not proper policy. But we finally got a Fed rate cut, Chris, and maybe that is why the market went up quite a bit today. I was watching it throughout the day. The Dow ended up, up 260 points, and people are realizing that Joe Biden's economy was completely non-existent with that 900,000 jobs deficit recount all under Joe Biden. But we've got a lower interest rate, and that's something to celebrate.
And, this is something that all presidents do. They all ask for interest rates to be cut when the economy is slowing down or it's sluggish. But I think Donald Trump was justified when he was ragging on the Fed to cut interest rates. We've had plenty of reports over the last 6 or 7 months or so showing that the economy is slowing down. The president was urging the Fed chairman to lower interest rates. They did that today. If you look at the underlying economy, and we've been saying this for the last couple of years, it is strong. It is strong. Consumers are still spending. I think August consumer spending was up, which is a good thing. But we are having job losses in certain sectors of the economy. The healthcare sector is growing very, very well. But it was time to lower interest rates. And I think time is going to show, Tim, once it passes a little bit, that Jerome Powell was a little late in cutting interest rates. And I think the president is going to be ultimately proven right.
And for all those out there who feel that there's partisanship involved here, well, then how about look at the Fed governors themselves? Chris, I think Jerome Powell has now set the record for dissents by the Fed governors. And the last Fed meeting, I think there were 3 Fed governors that dissented. This Fed meeting, this Fed decision, a governor dissented again, said that a quarter point was not enough. We should have done 50 points. So I don't think this is a partisan argument. I think it's an economic one, and that's proven by Jerome Powell's own cadre of Federal Reserve governors.
Yeah, and he, as that report said, he has signaled that there could be 2 to 3 more cuts by the end of the year. And, I'm not an economist, Tim. I don't play one on the radio. But if you're saying that there's going to be 2 or 3 more cuts, you're obviously saying that interest rates need to be lowered. The economy is slowing down. Why not give a bigger boost to the economy and just do the 50 basis point cut? I think inflation worries are down. I know that's why they're worried about juicing the economy too much and inflation happening. But inflation, it is not where the Fed wants it at the 2%, but it has continually gone down since the president has been in office. And, I took economics 101. Hey, cut it 50 basis points, juice the economy.
Doesn't it look like the Fed's trying to play catch up by doing this series versus just doing, I agree, a bigger rate cut? And even though economists and other experts still remain concerned 9 months in that there may be some kind of tariff effect on inflation, it's all still shoulda, coulda, might be. It still has not had that inflationary effect, as you mentioned. And core inflation, if you look at only Donald Trump's presidency, core inflationary numbers are running below 2% from January to now. Donald Trump's inflationary numbers are below 2%. That's exactly where the Fed likes to keep them because, Chris, as you know, you don't want it to go into negative territory because then you're dealing with a stagflation scenario.
And I think part of the reason why inflation has not been had the dramatic effect as they expected, I think people were looking historically at what tariffs do, and they raised prices. I don't think that happened in this instance. I think part of that is because a lot of companies raised their inventories before these tariffs came in, so they could have a stockpile of goods to sell at the lower prices. And also, these companies are eating these costs at this time. They're not passing them on to consumers. So that's part of it as well. But I welcome this Fed rate cut. It needed to be done. And as we said, there are probably going to be 2 or 3 more by the end of the year.
Look, the American economy is comparatively to the rest of the world, look, it's not as strong as we'd like it to be when you compare the American, the U.S. economy to the rest of the world, it is the strongest amongst the Western nations. China is struggling mightily internally, and that's just what we know, right? I mean, it's really hard to tell exactly where China is because they're such a closed society. But most people, most expert economists are saying that China is struggling internally. The Western European nations are still dealing with a lot of economic malaise. So we're it, right? Russia's a dumpster fire when it comes to internal economy. So the U.S. is leading the way. And Chris, if we make these important decisions as to our financial situation, our American economy should be able to boom heading into next year.
Tim, China is a closed economy, and they do sometimes report numbers. I actually have some numbers. These are from yesterday.
Okay.
China's industrial output growth has slipped 5.2%. That's the worst performance since August of last year. Fixed asset investment reported on a year-to-year basis expanded just 0.5%, a sharp slowdown from the 1.6 expansion in the January to July period. And China's survey-based urban unemployment rate in August came in at 5.3%. And we talked about this last year. Their unemployment rate among younger people and teenagers, college graduates to teenagers, is very, very high. And that is part of the reason why Trump has been so adamant about these tariffs on China. He knows that our economy is strong. He knows that China is solely almost dependent on buying or us buying their stuff. And I think Trump has basically said, we'll just wait them out. Our economy is stronger than theirs. We can wait them out. And these numbers I just reported show that. And I think that's part of the reason why they've struck a TikTok deal where China has said they will sell TikTok to American investors, and they want Trump to come to China at the end of the fall. I think the pressure is working.
Another problem China has is a people problem. I heard Vic and Ken discussing this morning on the Vic Porcelli show, and this proves the point that we were talking about yesterday, that it's absolutely left-wing lunacy and insanity to promote this depopulate the planet policy, right? China did it, right, Chris? China went ahead and did this experiment of depopulating the planet. They've tried to depopulate China for a long time, for decades. China had a one-child policy, and that child had to be a male.
Exactly.
Now they are dealing with an aging population and not enough young people coming up amongst their lower ranks. They're going to have an employment problem because they're not going to have enough bodies to fill their workforce of tomorrow.
And what the Chinese Communist Party is always worried about, you do have a thriving middle to upper class in China that's done very well since the most favored nation status was given to them in 1989. But there are 2 billion people that live in China, and probably 500 million of those people are doing relatively well. The other 1.5 billion people are living out in the countryside and are not doing that well. And they are scared to death of those people being unhappy and having an uprising and causing some trouble for the regime. They may have the guns and the weapons, but you can't shoot 1 billion. You can't kill 1.5 billion people.
You can only oppress a people for so long.
Exactly.
And then eventually those people rise up and stage a revolution. We've seen it in world history time and time again. All right, we're off and running here, 4:15 in the PM Central Daylight Time. Can you believe it? We're past the middle of the month, September the 17th, 2025. Chris is here. I'm here. You just heard both of us. Who else is in the studio? That would be executive producer, Joey V, who is going with the no comment t-shirt today.
Good to see you guys. I'm so excited to be with you.
And a little growth on his face there, too.
Oh, a growth. I'll get that, go to the doctor, get that taken care of.
Now you just need some razors.
What are you talking about? I'm trying to be like you.
Does the girl must like the hair on the face?
She does.
All right.
Hey, now. She likes the George Clooney look or the Tony Stark look, indeed. Joey, you didn't feel like making any comments today with the T-shirt ensemble. I'm always interested in what message you're portraying because I stare at you all for the most of the show. So
I know you guys bring out my shirts most days. I wanted to get to the news as quick as possible. That's all.
He did make a statement yesterday when he had the GQ sweater on.
He did
the other day. Was that Monday or yesterday? Was that yesterday? You had the GQ sweater on?
Shawl collar.
Probably yesterday. I was looking pretty. Today, and not so much.
Yeah, he had the Masterpiece Theater look.
All he needed was a pipe.
And we could have had him do a movie. You and I could have left. We could have had him do movie reviews.
Exactly.
What are we getting to today? We're getting to a lot. It would be Happy Hump Day, Wednesday. And let me turn the page here. Zack Smith, of course, I should have known that because he's with us every Wednesday, 425. Senior legal fellow at the Heritage Foundation. Boy, do we have a lot to talk about. Donald Trump continuing to try to clean up the mess that Democrats have created in their dumpster fire urban areas around the country. Is it legal? Is it constitutional? How far can the federal administration go to clean up these state-based problems? Chris, we'll talk to Zack about that and a lot. I'm sure a lot of other legal, Supreme Court, appellate court issues as well around the nation.
Exactly. And we're going to make Chris's Corner a surprise.
Nice.
Because then I'll figure out what I'm going to.
It's behind door number 3.
Exactly.
Behind door number 3.
Exactly. That's the heck of a tease there. I don't
like
know what
it.
it's going to be about, but stay tuned. I promise. Hopefully it'll be interesting.
Was that The Price is Right? Do you want door number? Was that Price is Right? Or
That was
Let's
Let's Make a Deal.
Let's Make a Deal.
Yeah, that's when you pick the wrong. You can either have this prize or you can have what's behind door number 1. And sometimes it would be like a sheep eating grass or something. Or
That's right.
Eating hay.
And then they go, wah, wah, wah.
And this is Chris's second show of the day. He filled in for Jamie Allman. And
The great.
we'll just play one of those segments.
The great Jamie.
Oh,
Allman.
can we
Yes.
do that so we go get some coffee? Maybe, maybe go out in the sunshine?
I loved your chat with, was it Bukowski? Is that her name?
Jen Bukowski, vice chair of the Missouri Republican Party. Tim, we talked about Trump's idea that he announced that there's going to be a convention next year. And I think it's an absolutely brilliant idea, thinking out of the box. As you know, in off elections, the president's power, the party in power usually loses seats. There's not a lot of enthusiasm. This is one way to drum up enthusiasm of the base in a midterm election. I love it. It's brilliant, out of the box thinking.
Yeah. I mean, go for the jugular at this point because the Democratic Party is helping themselves become the party in the wilderness. Look, they're not going to go anywhere because we're a two-party system. They may be down and out right now, but they'll be happy to come back, roaring back and screw up the country more. So, Chris, in a midterm election, party in power always has to worry about losing seats in Congress. So with the wind in the Republican sails right now and Democrats continuing to double down on all this left-wing lunacy, I think a convention is a great idea to embolden people to not just go to the polls to vote when Donald Trump's on the ballot, because more likely than not, Donald Trump's never going to be on a ballot ever again. But yet most people would love to have the America First policies continue. How do you do that? You turn out for the midterms.
See, Tim, you're just starting stuff in controversy. You said more than likely President Trump won't be on the ballots. You're just stirring up crap.
I did that on purpose. Indeed. That makes
the liberals are pulling their hair out right now. See, Tim knows. He knows what's going on. Donald Trump's going to stay in office.
Chris, is that a fascist statement that I said?
That was very fascist.
Very fascist. Yeah, very fascist indeed. Looks good on us. Chris's Corner 445. Oh,
that's the big mega tease.
Big mega tease. I'm not going to tell it right now because we don't have time. Have I ever told my great Aunt Mary Price is Right story?
Oh, no, she was on.
Yeah, my great Aunt Mary. She's long gone. She's my mom's aunt, my great aunt. Aunt Mary was a Italian's Italian. She was super Italian. Her life's dream was to get on a game show, to get on The Price is Right. She got on it.
Did she spin the big wheel? Or did she get on stage?
I'll tell the story someday.
All right.
In fact, my mom's cousin, if my mom's cousin publishes this book eventually that she's been working on, Cousin Franny, my mom's cousin, has been working on this book forever. It's about cooking and Italian life. We'll have to have Franny on the show. We won't be able to talk politics with her because Franny's a little left of center, but she's a lovely lady. And one of the chapters of the book is about her mom, my great Aunt Mary, getting on The Price is Right.
I've known two people that have been on The Price is Right. One of them, he lives in California now, but he was the chairman of the St. Charles Republican Party at one time, Eugene Dokes. He got on The Price is Right. He was in the Navy at the time. He got on the big wheel. He won a showcase. I think he won a car.
Whoa!
And he didn't keep it because you have to pay taxes on those prizes. People forget about that.
The Showcase Showdown. Yes, indeedy. 5 o'clock hour, just as jam-packed as the one we told you about, which is happening right now. 5 o'clock hour will feature the speaker's stump speech. Emotion is a powerful motivator. Emotion is a powerful motivator. I got a clip for that as well. At 5:25, we've got Nikki, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 shows Schroer. We use and abuse Nick Schroer, but he loves it. He is the senator for the second senatorial district here in the state of Missouri. He's the chairman of the Freedom Caucus, and he's a fantastic News Talk STL contributor and host of his own programs on Sunday. He does 2 shows.
What doesn't he do?
He does, yeah, no kidding. He does St. Charles Patriot Radio, and he does Stand and Fight on Sundays. Chris, he's got his big official. Can you believe Nick Schroer has been in office for already going on 4 years in the Senate?
You know, that is weird. When I saw on Facebook that he was having a re-election kickoff, and I was like, wait a minute, you were just elected to the Senate a year or two ago. It didn't seem like 4 years have passed.
Yeah, there you go. He's doing his re-election bid. Tomorrow, the big kickoff will be at the Stone Ledge Distillery in Defiance. I know a number of us are going. We got two big events tomorrow, folks. We are dividing and conquering. We've got the gigantic Steve Forbes event at Lindenwood. A bunch of us are going there. And then we have the Nick Schroer kickoff. A bunch of us are going there. So if you go to either one, you'll see your favorite News Talk STL people there. At 5:45, Chris, we're going to have some very important people to you on.
I am very excited. We're going to have Andy Lombardozzi, Dan Jaycox, and Chris Kemplin. They are with St. Louis Windows and Doors, but they have started another business connected with them, which is St. Louis Window Cleaning. My wife and I had them out a couple of weeks ago, and I'm still amazed of just how clean these windows, Tim. It's been 2 weeks already, and they are still crystal clear. I'm not joking, guys, when I say this. I'm not just saying this as a sales pitch. Our window, especially our front door, storm door, was so clear, Tim. It was almost like it didn't have glass in it. It was so clear. Our windows are like that as well. We had 3 or 4 screens that need to be replaced. That was part of the service. They do excellent, excellent work. They're going to tell you about the process when they come in, but I highly recommend it. I've been through it. Amazing.
Well, and guess what? You may already pick up new business today because we had our house power washed a few weeks ago. We haven't had the windows cleaned yet.
There you go.
I'm going to be getting their business card today, and based on your recommendation, more likely than not, we're going to have them out at the Jones home.
It's an incredible process.
Done and done. You just made my life a lot easier. Thank you very much. See, look at this. We're like B2B in the studio. Chris has used my advertisers. I'm using his. You should all use them too.
Exactly.
Make sure you listen to this segment. Chris has been very proud of these windows, and they sound like it's fantastic.
Crystal clear, man.
You do not want to miss this 5:45 p.m. segment if you're anywhere near the market for windows, doors, or just having them cleaned. 5:45. We'll talk to the great folks at STL Windows and Doors. Please support all of our advertisers. Chris and I talk about them every day. You hear them during the breaks. I don't change the channel when I'm out listening because I want to hear what new advertisers do we have at News Talk STL? And every week we have brand new ones, all thanks to super salesman Ethan Way, Jeff, and Joe.
And we walk the walk and talk the talk with these advertisers. I go to Dental Link. My wife goes to Dental Link. My father-in-law just moved here. He had his first Dental Link appointment today. So we walk the walk and support these advertisers. We ask you to do it as well. You won't be disappointed.
Do what we do. You'll be a happier camper. Hey, when we come back, we're going to speak to happy camper Zack Smith. He's a happy warrior for freedom, liberty, law, and order. We'll talk to him next about all the legal news headlines of the day, crime and punishment in the United States of America, courtesy of Donald Trump. 1019-94.1 News Talk STL.
It's the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. Another hot day for Thursday. Not overly humid. A low of 65 is mild early on, but then a high of 93. Mostly sunny skies. May see some spot rain or a thunderstorm west of St. Louis, but more likely staying dry here later in the afternoon and evening and just hot. And then Friday, a high of 87 degrees. Not quite as hot, but still warm. However, we do have a 30% chance to see a few showers or a thunderstorm on Friday. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
Conservative talk for St. Louis.
It's your patriotic right and duty.
The government needs to step up and do its job.
This is News Talk STL.
It's well-balanced conversation.
News, analysis, opinion.
It's high time you head to the Hideout, folks. Yeah, we'll be going there in 10 days, I think. Chris and I and Joey will be hitting the Hideout, and the weather's going to be divine. I think we only have 1 or 2 more days of heat, and we're good. But you know what? The Hideout has an indoor facility and an outdoor facility. So too hot, go inside. Too cold, go outside. The Hideout Sports Bar is at hideoutsportsbar.com, and they're also located at 3367 High Ridge Boulevard. You know, that's only 10 minutes. I'm serious. I've driven there so many times from the studio. I know this like the back of my hand. They're 10 minutes from 270 in Gravois. So, from the studio, Maryland Heights, we head down 270 if we're going to do an event there or whatever. and it's 10 minutes from 270 and Gravois. It's not far from anywhere in the county of St. Louis or the surrounding areas. They have the best menu around. I'm telling you, I ate there a couple weeks ago. I had the grilled buffalo chicken wrap and the crack fries. They call them the crack fries because they're just that they're that addictive. Absolutely delicious. Fantastic menu. It has been reformatted recently. It's very simple, but there's something there for everybody. They got the Dave chili. They got the sunset dip. They've got the pizzas are delicious. And on a beautiful night like what tonight's going to be, you want to go out to the sunset patio with the sunset stage and watch the beautiful sunset over the backside of the Hideout. They have VIP areas you can rent there for their special events, and they have a ton of them. Tons of great music, Bobby Ford Band and others. Just fantastic place at the Hideout. Rick and Jake have built a beautiful gem here. It is a destination spot. 5,000 square feet inside, 5,000 square feet outside. Coldest drinks, best food around. Hopefully I've sold you on it. Check it out, 3367 High Ridge Boulevard, hideoutsportsbar.com. hideoutsportsbar.com. Yeah, we'll see you at the Hideout.
Hey, it's Susie Moore. If new flooring makes you think hassle, think again, because Michael's Flooring is changing the game. For over 30 years, Michael's has been locally owned and trusted for quality, variety, and amazing service. Whether it's carpet, hardwood, laminate, luxury vinyl, or ceramic tile, their expert team makes installing new floors exciting, not stressful. That's why customers keep coming back. Visit Michael's Flooring at St. Peter's, Starting Prairie, Creve Coeur, or online at igotfloored.com. That's igotfloored.com.
Looking for family fun that's different? Rev up your weekend at AAA Motor Speedway in Owensville, Missouri. We're Missouri's second largest asphalt go-kart track, offering thrilling racing and safe family entertainment for all ages and skill levels. Experience the rush as you navigate every curve and straightaway. Private events available. Create memories that last a lifetime at AAA Motor Speedway. Thank you to all of our veterans for your military service. We salute you. Visit AAAMotorspeedway.com and experience the rush today.
Remember those magical moments in Mom's kitchen? The heavenly aroma of fresh baked cookies? At Trolley Stop Bakery in Chesterfield's Forum Shopping Center, our co-op of talented bakers has been perfecting that homemade magic for 4 decades. From the gooeyest cookies in town to custom pies, cobblers, and cakes, everything's made from scratch, just like Mom and Grandma's recipes. Need that perfect corporate gift? We ship our famous cookies nationwide. The Trolley Stop Bakery, 67 Forum Shopping Center, or TrolleyStopBakery.com. Because some traditions are too sweet not to share.
This hour of Jones and Arps is brought to you by Stifel. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at Stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Let's do it.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
The federal appeals court just handing down a ruling in the last few minutes saying that President Trump cannot remove Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook from her position. What that means is that Lisa Cook, in all likelihood, will attend the federal open market tomorrow, which is where the agency decides the future of the interest rate. Now, this comes as the Senate has confirmed the White House's pick as Stephen Myron to serve on the board. What that means for the new interest rate, that is still yet to be seen, but we are going to bring you more developments as we have them.
4:30 on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show, and it's Wednesday, and you know what that means.
Oh, it's all perfectly legal. You are out of order. You're out of order. You're out of order. The whole trial is out of order.
Zack Smith, legal fellow with the Heritage Foundation.
You know, I ask you a lot of predictions. Can you predict what the Supreme Court probably will do with this action?
And as he does every Wednesday, Zack Smith, senior legal fellow at the Heritage Foundation. Zack, how are you, my friend?
I am doing well. How are you this afternoon?
I'm a lot better than when we talked to you last week at this time, because that was in the aftermath of the tragic shooting of Charlie Kirk. Still kind of just mesmerized or amazed that this has happened, but it's been a week, and we're going to talk about that in our discussion as well, sir.
Well, I'm looking forward to it.
All right, you just heard that clip. The appeals court said that President Trump cannot remove Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook, but a White House official yesterday said that the administration intends to ask the U.S. Supreme Court to let the president oust Lisa Cook. You know my refrain. I know you don't make legal predictions, Zach, but if you look at past precedents, can you make some type of prediction on what do you think will happen ultimately? Go ahead. Go make a prediction.
Well, Well, Chris, I think we've been having these conversations for a little while now, since you have that general sense of things. But look, it's hard to say what the Supreme Court will do. I certainly think the president and the administration have the better of the legal arguments, despite what this federal appeals court said. I think people were expecting this ruling to come down. This appeals court has a reputation for being a little more left-leaning. Now, the interesting question is whether the Supreme Court will be able to act before that open markets committee meeting that was referenced in the opening clip. I don't know if they'll act that quickly or not, but I think it's clear at this point that this issue will go before the Supreme Court. And what's been interesting about this case in particular, we've talked about the president's Article 2 authority to hire and fire whom he sees fit. Now, what's interesting about this is in other contexts that the Supreme Court has been very sympathetic to the president's arguments, but in the last round of orders dealing with the Federal Reserve, they seem to be a little more hesitant, trying to carve out a separate situation for the Federal Reserve, saying it could be different. The central bank could be different than some of these other executive branch agencies. Now, I'm not convinced of that necessarily, but that does at least appear to be where the justices are heading and what they may be thinking, that they may treat the Federal Reserve differently, even though I think from a legal and logical standpoint, it should not be.
Zack, you have done an extraordinary amount of writing and research and speechifying and testifying on the issue of law and order all across this country. You've delved deep into these dark ideologies that support that supported the Soros-funded prosecutors, one of which we had here in St. Louis for a while. Thankfully, Kim Gardner, now long gone. And Zack, you haven't been afraid to call out, where these ideologies come from. Zack, I want to ask you about the accused killer in the Charlie Kirk matter. There was a headline that caught my attention today. It reminded me of many of our discussions with you. The headline says, "Why it matters that Charlie Kirk's killer came from the left, telling us it doesn't matter when one side commits violence, warps public policy, news coverage, and more." Zack, kind of the whole axiom of know thy enemy before you can defeat it, right?
Well, look, Tim, I think it shouldn't come as a surprise that you see violence like this manifesting from some of the hateful rhetoric we've seen from the left whenever you repeatedly demonize Donald Trump and his supporters, or really anyone who disagrees with a radical leftist ideology, calling them Nazis, calling them threats to democracy, saying that the normal means through which we settle our disagreements, the normal political process, that's not sufficient to deal with these supposed threats from folks on the right. Well, of course, you're going to see violence resulting from that. And what was most disappointing to me, Tim, in the wake of the horrific assassination of Charlie Kirk, instead of calling evil evil, we saw many on the left making excuses and doubling down on this hateful rhetoric, or even celebrating the violence that resulted from this rhetoric. And I think that's been an absolutely horrifying and absolutely shameful thing to see.
Zack, thank you for leading me into my next question. Since the assassination of Charlie Kirk, we've seen a very ugly side of humanity, especially among the Democrats. As you said they have been celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk on these college campuses. Some of these students have been expelled from school. We've seen TikTok videos of liberals who have been fired for their jobs. And what we're hearing over and over from them, Zack, is free speech. My free speech rights are being obliterated. Can you give these folks, if they're listening to us right now, a quick clinic on why this is not a free speech issue for them being fired from their jobs?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, for the First Amendment to be implicated, there has to be government action. And so typically private employers are free, particularly in at-will employment states, to fire employees for any reason they deem fit, or at least not for illegal reasons such as race or gender or something along those lines. And so when it comes to private employers, I think they are well within their rights and certainly should not have their brands and their businesses be associated with hateful rhetoric that celebrates the cold-blooded murder, the cold-blooded assassination of someone who is committed to First Amendment free speech ideals. Now, when it comes to government employees, particularly teachers, professors, that's where we've seen a lot of the disagreement on the right so far today. And particularly when it comes to K through 12 context, I think teachers have less protection for their out of classroom statements than you might have in other contexts. They have a certain duty to maintain good moral character, to help educate students today. And unfortunately, we've seen many teachers, I think, falling well short of the standard we should hold them to. And then even when it comes to professors, I think there's been a close look being paid attention to whether or not these professors and their hateful rhetoric will some way impact their ability to perform their duties. This is an issue to watch closely. There's disagreement on the right. But look, I think we should all be very quick to condemn this speech and point out for the really hateful ideology that it is.
Zach, give us an update as to your thoughts regarding Donald Trump's efforts to basically, in my words, save Democrats from themselves in all of the cities that they have run and ruined into the ground over the last few decades. Zach, it's one thing I know for the executive of the entire nation, the President of the United States, to try to help out his backyard. D.C. is a federal enclave. Zach, tell us the differences between what Donald Trump and the federal government can do in the federal enclave of D.C. versus what and how far they can go when they're dealing with going into, say, Memphis or Chicago, or maybe even here in St. Louis.
Yeah, well, the legal mechanisms are going to look a little bit different once you're outside of D.C., and they're going to look a little bit different depending on whether or not you have a governor who's willing to step in and cooperate with the president, or whether you have a governor who apparently is committed to fostering crime, like Gavin Newsom and J.B. Pritzker. And so what we've seen in D.C. is there are basically three buckets of action the president has taken. He has deployed the National Guard under their state equivalent of their state authority in most other states. He's surged federal law enforcement resources into the district, and then he's also federalized the DC police. Now, in cities like Memphis, I think what you're seeing predominantly the president focusing on is surging federal law enforcement resources into those cities, establishing task force for FBI, DA, ATF, ICE agents to work with local authorities to go into the cities to be able to apprehend the worst offenders who probably have violated numerous federal laws, and then instructing the U.S. attorney, the chief federal prosecutor overseeing the region that has those cities within it, to vigorously prosecute those offenders. Now, the president's order, as it relates to Memphis, also said that the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, can ask the governor to deploy National Guard troops. Now, Tennessee's governor has said he's open to doing that. He's supportive of that. And so what that means is the National Guard will be deployed under essentially the governor's authority and will have much broader police powers than they would if they were deployed through, say, a federal authority, if they were federalized by the president.
Speaking with Zack Smith, Senior Legal Fellow at the Heritage Foundation. I do not read this particular magazine while I'm on the toilet. I just so happen came across it, Zack. But the Atlantic's October cover story is by historian Jill Lepore, and in it she argues that the Constitution isn't a dead document as originalists believe, but one the founding fathers intended to be changed and amended over time. I want to read you a short, quick quote from it. She said, the U.S. Constitution has one of the lowest amendment rates in the world. Some 12,000 amendments have been formally introduced on the floor of Congress. Only 27 have ever been ratified, and there has been no significant amendments in more than 50 years. That's a horrible thing, Zach, according to Jill Lepore.
Well, I have to tell you, Chris, I couldn't think of a better place to read that magazine than on the toilet. I think that is the appropriate place to do that type of reading. Look, I appreciate you bringing this up. It's very appropriate for us to be talking about the Constitution today, because if your listeners don't know today, September 17th, it's Constitution
It is.
Day. And so these are the types of conversations we should be having. Although I'll tell you, that argument is that you just read me is absolutely wrong in many respects. The people have amended the Constitution 27 times, as you pointed out, and the Constitution has a framework, a mechanism to have those amendments take place and occur. And the framers intentionally made our federal Constitution difficult to amend. You need supermajorities on multiple levels to get an amendment to pass. And I think part of the reason they wanted that is to provide stability. You want stability in the ultimate governing document that reflects many of our most fundamental values. And so there is a mechanism in place to amend the Constitution if we want to, but it is intentionally difficult. Now, I think the implicit point of the story is to somehow give judges license to impose their own policy preferences, to update the Constitution as these unelected, unaccountable judges might see fit. And we've talked about it before. That's a very problematic view of what judges should do. I think it's an inappropriate view. And I think it's led to some really terrible policy decisions over the past half century or more. Think of Roe v. Wade. Think of the host of death penalty decisions, other decisions, where essentially these judges took issues out of the democratic process, imposed their own policy preferences, and as a result, wreaked a lot of unfortunate results in the process.
Zach, we're knocking on the door of October, I believe, with the flipping of the calendar page. That means the Supreme Court will be getting back into more regular action. Zach, any highlights you'd like to make for our audience as to cases we should monitor with you over the next few months?
Well, I'll put in a shameless plug, as always. October 2nd, the Heritage Foundation, I'm going to moderate a Supreme Court preview. You can stream it live. I'll post it to my X feed at TZ Smith, or you can go to heritage.org and register to view it remotely. But we'll talk about some of these cases. Obviously, there's going to be a number of important election-related cases, some involving redistricting, some involving campaign finance. There's going to be an important Fourth Amendment case on the docket as well. Obviously, important cases involving the president's power, core Article 2 power, in a host of different areas. So there will be a lot to talk about. So stay tuned. October 2nd will be the Supreme Court preview. I'll post it on my X feed at TZ Smith.
And that is Zack Smith, Senior Legal Fellow at the Heritage Foundation. And as you heard there, he is at TZ Smith on X and at heritage.org. Zack, thank you so much and have a great weekend, my friend.
Of course. Thanks for having me on the show. Take care.
Thank you. All right. When we come back, got some news about Ben & Jerry's. Do you eat Ben & Jerry's ice cream?
You know, I love ice cream. So if
you can look past their
I can, but I wish people would just shut up and do what they're supposed to do instead of like making political statements about everything.
Well, I've got
some news.
I've got some news about Ben & Jerry that I think is going to make conservatives happy.
Oh,
and we'll come back and talk about that on Chris's Corner on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL.
It's the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. Another hot day for Thursday. Not overly humid. A low of 65 is mild early on, but then a high of 93. Mostly sunny skies. May see some spot rain or a thunderstorm west of St. Louis, but more likely staying dry here later in the afternoon and evening and just hot. And then Friday, a high of 87 degrees. Not quite as hot, but still warm. However, we do have a 30% chance to see a few showers or a thunderstorm on Friday. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
Free speech is alive and well in America right here.
It's about time somebody stood up for true American values.
What this country needs is some backbone.
Finally, a president who wants to make real change.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Newsteaders Fine Jewelers, WowDiamonds.com. Newsteaders Fine Jewelers, WowDiamonds.com. Hopefully I've got your attention. We're going to be heading to Newsteaders soon. We're going to be stopping by, saying hello to Richard, see how he's been doing, and see what's coming into the store ahead of the holidays. Yeah, my friends, I mean, come on. Now we're actually getting to the point we can start talking about these things. August was probably a little too early to be, dragging out the pumpkin spice lattes, but we're going to be in October. I hate to tell you all this. We're going to be in October in about 13 days. So less than 2 weeks October 1st is right around the bend. And then we got to start thinking about the happy holiday season ahead, and all the wonderful things we're going to get for the wonderful people in our life. Newsteaders can be your one-stop shop for all that. They're at 2961 Daughtery Ferry Road. WowDiamonds.com is where you'll find them on the internets. 2 miles west of Interstate 270. Neighborhood jewelry store, independently owned, locally owned by wonderful people since 1961. I have been going to Newsteaders for years, along with many of my family members, many of the people here at News Talk STL. Why? Because of the Newsteaders difference. Look, anybody can go to a giant big box store and think you're getting some great deal. And au contraire, mon frère, I will say that Newsteaders is where you'll get fantastic jewelry, special things for the special people in your life at extremely competitive, if not better prices. Open weekdays, 10 a.m. to 5:30, Saturdays, 10 to 3. Diamonds, wedding and engagement rings, hand engraved items. Yeah, who's going to do that for you other than Richard Newsteader, master engraver? He will create legacy items. His pieces are beautiful. Every time I'm in there, he shows me like 3 or 4 new ones he's made. They're absolutely fantastic that you can hand down through your family for generations. Pendants, earrings, gemstones, bracelets. He does jewelry repair. They do appraisals there, everything. They've got gorgeous watches. I have a Frank Sinatra Bulova watch. It's absolutely fantastic. Gotten my wife, Suzanne, some wonderful stuff there. And I think we're going to have to stop by for the holidays this year as well. You should too. Newsteaders Fine Jewelers at WowDiamonds.com. Newsteaders Fine Jewelers at WowDiamonds.com.
Report cards are a good way to show how well your kids are doing in class and where they might need improvement. We at the Show Me Institute believe schools should get grades too, so parents can see how their child's school compares to others. That's why we came up with the Missouri School Rankings Project. Click on the website moschoolrankings.org and it's all there. Rankings and letter grades for all the schools in Missouri. The rankings are based on categories such as student performance in English language arts and math, ACT scores, and graduation rates. Then we take the rankings and come up with a grade point average, just like your child has. Each school and district has a grade, and the website is easy to use. And now we've added spending data for every district, so parents, taxpayers, and policymakers can see where the money is going. Don't you want to know how your child's school stacks up? Learn more at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
We've been here 30 years, 30 Christmases in this house, and we have the traditions that most families have.
That's Terry talking about her experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We did Rhino Shield 14 years ago, and the house still looks the same as the first day. Rhino Shield really worked with me to help me get just the right, nice, soft yellow, and it's 14 years later, and it's the same color.
The main reason Terry called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by its 25-year transferable warranty.
It just sounded wonderful that we could have the house coated with Rhino Shield and not have to worry about it again for 25 years.
Take it from Terry. Give Rhino Shield a call now for a free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
There have been neighbors that have come by and said, "Did you just have your house painted?" Because they wanted to know who the contractor was. And I said, "No, it's actually Rhino Shield."
877-25rhino.com.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
At 6:35 on Thursday, St. Louis County Councilman Dennis Hancock can answer the question, why did he vote against that resolution honoring Charlie Kirk?
Morning starting at 5:30 on News Talk STL. This hour of Jones and Arps is brought to you by Stifel. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hey, do you know about the USA? Do you know about the government? Can you tell me about the Constitution?
You're listening to Tim Jones and Chris Arps.
In 1787, I'm told our founding fathers did agree to write a list of principles for keeping people free. The USA was just starting out a whole brand new country. And so our people spelled it out, the things that we should be.
Here we go.
Everybody sing it.
All right, 450 on the Tim Jones and Chris Arp show. And as We had Zack Smith on earlier, and he reminded me, I did know that today is the 232nd, I think, birthday of the Constitution. Also, Senator, who's a senator from Iowa? Grassley. How do you think, how old do you think he is?
91?
92.
That was
Very,
close,
he
yeah.
is up there. It's
He's
like,
old.
dude, you're kind of old to be a United States senator. But I have a short story about Schoolhouse Rock and the preamble. When I was in 8th grade in social studies class, teacher gave us an assignment that we had to learn the preamble. And after a week's time, we had to stand up in class and recite it.
Okay.
And once we started reading it, I was like, wow, this sounds very familiar. Where did I know this from? And then I was like, oh my God, that's Jailhouse Rock. That's the song. We the people, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice and secure whatever.
Domestic tranquility.
But I
provide for the common
defense,
ensure
prefer
the domestic welfare. Yeah, we know it.
But I had no idea that was the preamble. And when it was my turn to recite it, I couldn't just recite it. I had to sing it, and gave me credit for that.
Chris,
so
we need to be running those things again.
they do. And I'm talking about it also. I know those of our generation remember conjunction, junction, what's your function? I had no idea until a few years ago that the guy that sang that was a white person. All of these years, I thought it was a black man. So, wow, you learn new things every day.
The gal who's singing right there,
Yeah.
you know, that she sounds like a famous country music singer.
She
to
does.
me.
She
Yeah.
does. She
But
does.
she
yeah.
may just be some random lady. I don't
Probably
know.
was, but
Yeah.
she helped me learn the preamble to the Constitution.
Amen.
And I appreciate that. And Schoolhouse Rock and Joey, who is a little younger than we are. He remembers that Schoolhouse Rock was on ABC on Saturday mornings. And very good on you, Joey. All right, let's do a little Carner.
Chris.
And if you don't know, now you know.
And now, Chris's Corner.
You know, I asked before we went on break, Tim, did you eat any Ben & Jerry's ice cream? I forgot, Joey, are you a Ben & Jerry's guy?
I just had some a little bit ago.
Ah, look at you. Well, my wife was on a Ben & Jerry's kick a few years ago. She would always ask me if I was out, can you stop and get some Cherry Garcia? I should have bought her like a case of it. She no longer eats that. But as you know, Ben & Jerry's were very, very liberal founders of that ice cream brand. They ended up selling it to Unilever several years ago. But Unilever still gave them creative control, and they could still speak out and everything. Well, no more, Tim. In post on Instagram and X, Greenfield of Ben & Jerry has decided to leave Ben & Jerry's because it was no longer allowed to stand behind social justice issues that were core to its business. Quote, it's profoundly disappointing to come to the conclusion that the independence, the very basis of our sale to Unilever, is gone. Look, Jerry, it's the same thing that we're experiencing here with these folks that are speaking out in favor of the murder of Charlie Kirk. If your so-called political speech is hurting the brand or it's hurting the business, you got to go, or they're not going to allow you to have that free speech. Ultimately, a business is in business to make money for its shareholders and for everybody that has an interest in that. And if your politics is damaging that brand, you got to go, or you cannot say it any longer. I don't see what's so hard to understand that. All right, Tim, I know that you were a huge supporter of school choice and education reform. This shouldn't shock you, but a new Gallup poll shows that the percentage of American adults who report being satisfied with the quality of K-12 education in the U.S. sank to a record low of 35%. Satisfaction is down among Democrats, Republicans, and independents. I actually received an email today from a pro-choice educational foundation here in Missouri, SEAM. I forgot what they stand for, CEAM. But they had an email showing that the amount of African Americans who are homeschooling their children is on the rise.
Amen.
African American children are taking their children out of these horrible schools. You know, the NFL shot itself in the foot years ago with their wokeness, and we know that. And the entire year, I did not watch any football until the Super Bowl. I said, I got to watch the Super Bowl. But I'm back. I do watch it. They have not been as woke. You still see the in racism in the end zone. They still have kind of the things on the back of the helmets. But the NFL is back, Tim. Almost 34 million viewers watched the Philadelphia
Wow.
Eagles beat the Kansas City Chiefs on Fox last weekend. That is the network's best ever audience for a regular season Sunday game.
Wow.
Among the factors, of course, was Taylor Swift was in the audience at Arrowhead Stadium. The game was the rematch of the last Super Bowl. The Cowboys-Giants game, it was the most watched Week 2 NFL telecast on record and the most watched telecast of any kind since the Super Bowl. So fans have flocked back to the NFL. The viewership is up. We know that the NFL goes to Europe and they go to England and they go to not Saudi Arabia. They go to Germany to play games. Well, Tim, next year some of the NFL's biggest stars will play in Saudi Arabia. There's Fanatics, which runs the league's online merchandise shop, will produce a flag football event in Riyadh that will feature some stars like Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski, as well as hosts of a bunch of current players. I don't know if soccer's huge over in Saudi Arabia. I don't know if football is going to make it. Plus, too, I don't know if I want to be in a full football uniform playing football basically in the desert when it's about 120 degrees outside. But the NFL trying to expand the brand. And speaking of heat, listen to this. This is absolute junk science. Severe heat this summer killed 3 times as many people in European cities as would have died had humans not warmed the planet by burning fossil fuel, scientists said today. The new analysis was based on historical mortality trends, not actual death records, which were not yet widely available. The researchers looked at 854 European cities and towns where they estimated that a total of 24,400 people died as a result of this summer's heat. It's all just made up junk science. They don't have actual death, but we're just going to estimate this, take it our science as truth. And that is Chris's Corner. 507, speaker, some speech.
Yes, emotion is a powerful motivator.
And then we're going to speak with Nick Schroer, and we'll have STL Windows and Doors representatives here to talk about their great window cleaning service. You're listening to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL.
Take a local here for Intervine, a great local company that has customers all across the country due to the quality of their products. Intervine has the best flashlights, lanterns, headlamps, and even batteries, including the new Monster 2000 Lumen waterproof lantern and the Sentinel 2000 self-defense flashlight. Our home and vehicles are full of great Intervine products, and right now you can shop their website and get 25% off your entire purchase just by using my name, Tony, as your promo code. That's promo code Tony at Intervine.com.
As Tim Jones has been telling you, when life changes, you need someone you can trust. And that's Todd Sivia. At Sivia Law, we're dedicated to helping you through life's transitions, specializing in estate planning and elder law. With 7 convenient locations in the area, expert guidance is always close by. Call 833-995-WILL, 833-995-WILL, or visit CiviaLaw.com. And don't forget, the first 10 people to tell them Tim Jones sent me get a free $300 strategy session.
The Herzog Foundation is the vision of its founder, Stanley Herzog, and it exists to promote quality Christ-centered K-12 education nationwide.
Hi, this is Chris Stegall with the Herzog Foundation. We offer a wide variety of resources relevant to today's families, including a free online publication called The Lion. The lion is one of God's most majestic creatures, symbolizing strength and courage. Named for its attributes, the Lion publication carries articles covering a wide range of topics facing American families and culture, especially related to the education of children. The Lion can be found online at readlion.com. That's READ lion.com.
Sign up for The Lion at readlion.com and find dozens of must-read articles published every day. Visit readlion.com and subscribe for the weekly and daily digests so you never miss an article. Readlion.com. That's readlion.com.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 101.9 94.1.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Senator Eric Schmidt is out with a new book detailing the extent to which the Biden White House sought to censor social media platforms. Bob Agnew reports.
Senator Schmidt says it was all about circumventing the First Amendment.
The government, of course, can't silence dissent.
But you can't outsource that either, which is exactly what they were doing.
He says the entire White House staff was on board with issuing threats to social media platforms.
And they felt so justified on taking out President Trump's political supporters.
But he says it was even worse when it came to COVID.
If you uttered anything negative about a vaccine or masks, they went to work.
Senator Schmidt spoke with the Salem Radio Network about his new book, Last Line of Defense, How to Beat the Left in Court. Bob Agnew reporting.
Israeli troops and tanks are pushing deeper into Gaza City, marking the second day of a ground offensive. The moves faced international condemnation as Palestinians flee the devastated area.
Hundreds of people carry their belongings on the crowded road in Wadi Gaza. Israeli troops and tanks pushing deeper into Gaza City, marking the second day of a ground offensive. The move has faced international condemnation as Palestinians flee the devastated area. Israel's military reports over 150 air and artillery strikes on the city in recent days. The strikes have toppled high-rise towers, which Israel claims are used by Hamas for surveillance. I'm Charles Tiladesma.
Pennsylvania's governor is rushing to the scene of a police investigation in the southern part of the state in the aftermath of a shooting in which at least 2 people were seriously injured by gunshots. Authorities say an investigation is occurring in the area of North Codorus Township west of Philadelphia. On Wall Street, the Dow by 260 points. More at townhall.com.
The following is not an actor, but a real-life story from Trinity Debt Management.
My debt problem started probably about 2016. I needed my life to change financially. I called Trinity and I ended up joining based on high credit card bills and high interest rate. And my counselor at Trinity has been great, and Trinity has been helping me to get on the right path of paying off these credit card bills, bringing down the interest rate. They have consolidated my bills into one low monthly payment. And now I am finally getting out of credit card debt. So I just want to say thank you, Trinity, for showing me a better and greater path.
If you're in debt and you need help, call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976.
My name is Sharon, and soon I will be debt-free for keeps.
1-800-990-6976.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. Another hot day for Thursday, not overly humid. A low of 65 is mild early on, but then a high of 93. Mostly sunny skies. May see some spot rain or a thunderstorm west of St. Louis, but more likely staying dry here later in the afternoon and evening and just hot. And then Friday, a high of 87 degrees. Not quite as hot, but still warm. However, we do have a 30% chance to see a few showers or a thunderstorm on Friday. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
For 20 years, Harpo's Chesterfield has been the heart of West County's fun with our award-winning patio, voted best in West County, and excellent sports bar atmosphere. Our mouth-watering menu has made us famous throughout St. Louis. Plus, we've got great drink specials and the friendliest, most energetic staff around. Whether you're dining in or carrying out, Harpo's delivers fun, food, and drinks like no one else. Harpo's Chesterfield. Call 636-537-1970 or visit harposstl.com.
Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros, your all-in-one gutter service team that brings years of experience and quality that's affordable right to your doorstep. We discovered Gutter Pros a few years ago when we bought our home and inherited a gutter issue that was on the road to becoming a potentially big problem, but thanks to Gutter Pros was stopped before causing any major damage. They've also repaired the siding on our home because along with gutter repair, gutter installation, and leaf protection, the Gutter Pros are also the best for siding repair and installation. Learn about all the ways Gutter Pros can help your home at gutterpros.com.
Here's my problem.
Completely agree with your sentiments.
He talks about we're divided. Well, yeah, we are.
And we need to wake up as a country and realize what's going on.
101.9 and 94.1.
Number one for conservative talk.
News Talk STL. When you've got something to say, be heard loud and clear.
If they'll just do what they were voted in to do.
This party needs to get a backbone. They need to get some spine.
Join the conversation. St. Louis's place to talk.
The Democrats and the Republicans can give us all the lip service they want, but what they need to do is take action today.
101.9 and 94.1.
You have to take a stand sometimes.
This is News Talk STL. News, analysis, and opinion. Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
The 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
The more you remove voting from Election Day, the more opportunity you're offering for people to commit fraud.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
I think the Democrats are so short-sighted in this tactic they have now to just cheat at any cost to win elections.
You're a lying dog-faced pony soldier. You said you were, but now you got to be honest. I'm going to be honest with you.
What are we doing wrong here? As a former leader in the House, I think you can put your finger on it. It's called leadership. We don't have it.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps.
One of the things that's going to happen is it might be the last straw that makes the entire Democrat situation collapse. Because if you look at their situation, they're running out of money. They don't have good leaders. They don't have ideas that can beat the competing ideas. But then you add on top of that the emotions and the feelings that people got because of Charlie Kirk's death. And that was probably the only thing missing was, no matter what, I'm going to get to the voting booth. You could have a hurricane and conservatives are going to crawl through glass to get to the voting booth.
Who knew that Dilbert's creator, Scott Adams, was such a hardcore, common sense, constitutional conservative? But that was him right there talking about the current state of affairs in the political sphere. And Chris, he's got a pretty good grasp of things, I would say.
He does, but I'm just worried about him now because he espoused those views. Now the left's going to try to cancel him.
Yep. They'll try to cancel him too. I think he's done all right though already. I think he's been a syndicated cartoonist for quite a while.
Exactly.
Love Dilbert. And I'm going to talk about the subject that he raised there about emotion being a powerful motivator. That will be the subject of today's Speaker Stump Speech in just a moment. And it's something that Republicans and conservatives often struggle with because we try to approach things from a standpoint of facts and logic and reason. And those are all great, right? Because we can win any argument with those. But man, I'll tell you what, some of the most powerful politicians in U.S. and world history have been those, Chris, that have the it factor, that can touch people in a positive way. And there have been Republicans from time to time, but man, the Democrats can so play on people's heartstrings because they have no problem just promising to spend $1 bazillion and make everybody feel better. And they don't always worry about the truth either.
Yeah. So. And if you don't support spending $1 billion or something, you're heartless and cruel and you want people to starve.
So I'll talk about how Republicans, conservatives, libertarians, how they can use emotion as a powerful motivator exactly around the auspices of, not to unfairly use the death of Charlie Kirk, but use it properly as a motivator and as a wake-up call, not to be woke, but to be awakened. Mm-hmm. All right, Tim Jones and Chris Arps show rolling on today, indeed, here on this fantastic, wonderful Wednesday. Only thing we're missing is a little bit of rain. Yeah, it's a little dry here in the heartland. But, Chris, I'm sure we'll have some climate change and it'll rain a lot and there'll be flooding again real soon.
And speaking of rain, the Democrats last night on the St. Louis County Council tried to rain on a honorable thing of trying to honor Charlie Kirk. I had the honor of guest hosting Jamie Allman's show today, and Councilman Mark Harder was in. He sponsored a resolution to honor the slain Turning Point leader. And Democrats couldn't put away their partisanship, Tim, and voted it down. The head of the NAACP and other groups are saying that Charlie Kirk was a racist and misogynist, and he didn't deserve this honor. Councilman Harder read the resolution to me, Tim. Dude, it was 5 or 6 paragraphs. Tim, there was nothing in that that was
not.
controversial at all. I mean,
Of course not.
It was incredible that these people can't put their partisanship aside to honor a man who was slain in front of his own children, who talked about free speech and advocated for it.
And most hypocritically, the Democrat-run county council has no problem making political statements when it suits their interests, like paying homage to Margaret Sanger, the horrible racist eugenicist, for Planned Parenthood Day, LGBT pride flags flying all over county HQ. So Sam Page and the Democrats have no problem making political statements when it suits their interests. But, God forbid we do something that's in line with the U.S. Constitution and the First Amendment itself and pay homage to our free speech rights and promote that, and just happen to mention that we're mourning Charlie Kirk's political assassination.
I'm going to give a plug to Mike Ferguson in the morning, Tim. He's going to have Councilman Dennis Hancock on his show at 6:35. The final vote was 5-2. Councilman Hancock voted against this measure. It's the elephant in the room, so we got to talk about it. He wants to talk about it.
It's a head scratcher.
Well, he's running for county executive.
I know, but still.
For me, as a political consultant, I would have been like, Dennis, you need to be out of town, or you need to have some type of something you need to do tonight. Don't go to this meeting. Have some type of excuse. I understand that. I understand the vote from a political sense, but I don't think ultimately he should have voted no.
Well, now you lose your base.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Yeah.
So while you're trying to appeal, I get it. I get it. In St. Louis County, you're not going to win countywide anymore unless you appeal to independents and maybe some reasonable Democrats, if any of those are left. On the other hand, if you do too much, then you lose your Republican base and people go, well, I'm not voting for that guy in the general. I'll stay home.
Yeah, and you know how conservatives feel about this murder of Charlie Kirk.
My gosh.
It has everyone up in arms. And this is going to be unfortunately, a hard vote for him to explain to Republicans and to the base. I support him. I wish him well. Again, listen to Mike Ferguson tomorrow, 6:35 a.m. He will have the councilman on his show.
Yeah, I have withheld my judgment. I don't understand the vote. I actually thought, well, maybe I was trying to think of excuses for him. I was like, I thought of that. I also thought, well, maybe they thought they could bring this. See, there's a procedure in legislative procedure where, like, if you think something's going to fail, but maybe you can bring it back later, you'll have somebody purposely vote on the prevailing side. So then they can make a motion to reconsider. So if that was the plan, great. But I don't know that that was the plan.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to withhold judgment until I hear what Mr. Hancock has to say.
Yeah, I would have had an appointment tomorrow evening to get my oil changed.
Yeah, or a root canal or something. Something other than maybe voting no. I don't know. I don't get it. Nick Schroer the thrower. I bet he'll be sponsoring
Nikki 8 shows.
I bet he'll be sponsoring a Charlie Kirk resolution when the Missouri legislature goes back into session. Chris, several states who are able to do resolutions in their interim or who are in session are actually having those filed right now. I've seen that across the country. There's a lot of people doing it, and they should, because this is an important message that needs to live on. Charlie Kirk, I'm sorry. I don't care how much you yell and scream that he was a racist or a misogynist or a Nazi or a fascist. You cannot show us a Charlie Kirk quote that proves that point. You don't like his positions on the LGBTQ world. You don't like his positions on Christianity as a promoter of that. You don't like his positions on traditional marriage. You don't like his position on the transgender cult. So therefore, you call him pejoratives.
And how can you criticize him saying that the Supreme Court Justice Brown Jackson is a DEI hire when President Biden specifically said that he is going to appoint a black woman only to this position? I mean, you can't have it both ways.
Joe Biden said she was a DEI hire.
Basically.
Charlie Kirk was just restating that in a different way.
Exactly.
Same thing.
Exactly. And the other two women that he cited, Joy Reid and someone else, I can't remember who she was, but these are highly, highly partisan Democrats. It had nothing to do with race. They just so happened to be black women. But I think he was criticizing more of their partisanship and their views more than their black women.
Indeed.
That's just my view.
I would agree with that. Nick Schroer will weigh in on all of that and more at 5:25. He's got a big event coming up tomorrow evening. I'll be there along with some other folks from News Talk STL to help MC and herd the cats. There'll be a lot of great speakers. It's at one of our advertisers, Stone Ledge Distillery, And Rick Pogue, I think, is the owner of the facility itself. And so, yeah, we'll get all the details on that. So we're going to be one big happy family. We'll talk to Nick, who's the chairman of the Freedom Caucus, about the just concluded special session, this glitch with the maps, and can that be corrected or not? And most importantly, what the heck is he going to be seeking to accomplish in the next legislative session? Bill filing begins in about 2.5 months, if you can believe that.
Yeah. You know, I tortured myself last night, Tim, because Joey played some of the clips yesterday from the hearing with Kash Patel and the Senate Judiciary hearing. So I wanted to watch it. It was 4.5 hours. Ooh. I didn't watch all of it. What I did was I skipped the Republicans asking him questions and went to the Democrats. And Mazie Hirono, oh my God, she is absolutely just sickening. All she was up there to do was trying to score political points. And she had that little smirk on her face the whole time that she was asking questions. It was absolutely just sickening. And I don't blame Kash. She got a little upset because she wanted to know the names of some of the people that had replaced people that had been fired. And he said, no, I'm not going to give you any names so you can harass these people and send out fundraising notices on using them. No, I'm not going to do it. But she is sickening, and she is the part of the problem of why the country is so divided. She is partisan first, Democrat first, country third, fourth, fifth down the line.
You should listen, folks. I know it might make your ears bleed and your head hurt, but you should listen to Mazie Hirono sometime, and then you can verify whether or not my opinion that she's dumb as a box of rocks as well is a racist or a factual statement, because she's also really thick.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
And she's, like you said, she's hateful.
Very hateful.
And she's mean. You know, she's the worst combination of like mean and stupid, those are like the worst people, who are really, really cruel and also really, really dumb. Like, they don't have a grasp. When you don't have a grasp of basic facts and logic and you're mean, it makes it like even worse, because it sounds so outlandishly evil.
And she tried to make a point yesterday saying that Kash Patel intentionally made pull-ups harder for the female applicants because it's more difficult for them. And Katie Britt brilliantly said, I hope the Democrats notice what she just said there, that there are differences between men and women, and that men should not be competing in women's sports because they are not as physically, have the physical capacity to do these
They have a
push-ups.
different muscular structure.
She basically made the argument for her.
If you want to chase down a bad guy and put him in handcuffs, you better be able to do a pull-up.
Indeed, as you should.
Yeah.
At 5:45, we'll speak to the great folks at STL Windows and Doors, Andy Lombardozzi, Dan Jaycox, and Chris Kempland. They'll all be in studio to talk to Chris and I about how you can have better windows and doors in your home, and Chris, have them cleaned as well.
I'm impressed that you got that the first time, Lombardozzi, because it took me about 17 different times of trying to say it before I eventually got it right and remembered it.
I pulled deep on my inner Italian. Yeah, pulled deep on my
Lombardozzi,
my Grandpa Tuno. All right, all that's coming up. Oh, at 6:05, Larry Connors USA. 6:05's got some great topics that we will let you know about to expect at before we wrap up the show. Finally, the newsletter came out today. It features the Steve Forbes event live at Lindenwood. Very few tickets still available. Free, but you have to reserve in advance. Go to newstalkstl.com. While you're there, check out the host. I was looking through our little promos folder. We have about 15 events coming up. So I'm just going to tell you right now, go to newstalkstl.com. Yes, the Forbes event is tomorrow. The Nick Schroer event is also tomorrow, so you can decide which one of those you want to go to. I think the next big thing is we've got Lincoln Days. We got St. Louis County Lincoln Reagan Days. Chris is emceeing. We'll have a whole News Talk STL table. A bunch of us will be there as well. I'm planning on being there that night. It's always a great event. And we've got tons of other stuff coming up. newstalkstl.com for all of our fantastic events over the next few weeks.
Before you get to the speech, did you give Joey his $100 this month? Were we in the newsletter at the top? Did you give him his money?
It was just all business, all the events.
Yeah, he's got too many events to report.
You forgot to pay him.
Yeah, I guess it was my turn and I forgot. Yeah. He could have given you a shout out because he's got the Lincoln Reagan Days thing here. I'm looking for your name. Yeah, I know. Guess we didn't.
I don't think Renee
Daniel.
Hyman is even telling people you're going to be there.
It's like
It's going to be a surprise.
it's a surprise. Exactly.
She's going to be on the show tomorrow, I believe.
Ah,
so
that's
we'll
right.
ask her
Oh,
about that.
Chris, we
That's
made
right.
it. I mentioned at the very bottom
Okay.
of the newsletter.
We must have didn't pay him his full fee
I
this
only
month.
gave him $20
Yeah.
instead of 50. Yeah.
Sorry, Joey.
I'm at the
A little,
very
little tight this
I'm at the very bottom with some events that are coming up down the road. What am I doing here? We're always making appearances. There's a couple town halls coming up in October.
We're going to be somewhere Friday, aren't we? Piccadilly? Is that this Friday?
Oh,
not this
next
Friday.
Next Friday. My
Next-
wife gave me the impression it was this Friday.
Next Friday
Okay.
at there might have been one, but I think it may have gotten moved.
Okay.
That may have been right originally.
Stonebridge.
Next Friday,
And then Hideout, yeah.
the Hideout.
Okay.
Next Friday, the Hideout.
Excellent.
Yeah, indeed. We will. So hey, we haven't been to the Hideout in about a year.
Yeah, it has been a while.
So folks, join us at the Hideout not this Friday. Next Friday, it's going to be a beautiful night. The weather's going to be breaking. Chris, Joey, and I will be out there on the Sunset Patio
Eating crack fries.
and pizza.
Yes.
Which we love
Oh, the
indeed.
pizza was good. That was a new item last year.
It
Very, very
was.
good.
They've got it perfected now. Without further ado, emotion, a powerful motivator, the subject of today's Speaker Stump Speech.
Listen to me, listen to me.
I'm very consistent. I'm a very stable genius.
It's time for the Speaker's Stump Speech, sponsored by Hanson's Tree Service at hansonstree.com.
Yep. Scott Adams, that's his name. Scott Adams, who is the famous cartoonist of the author of the Dilbert comic series, wrote or talked about in that clip that we played coming into the show was the fact that he believed that this is the time for Republicans to seize the moment. Carpe diem, right? Is
Yeah.
what we would say. Seize the day. He says the Democrats are running low on money. They are. That's fact. They're having trouble with their fundraising. They have a lack of leadership. That's for sure. I mean, who is running the Democratic Party? It's not Nancy Pelosi.
Spartacus.
Spartacus is trying with his very passionate statements in the hearings where he talks like this all the time. You kind of got Schumer out there fumbling around. Hakeem Jeffries seems like he's always reading off. Every time Hakeem Jeffries speaks, I feel like I'm watching a Saturday Night Live skit. And I believe that, pause, flip the card, that Republicans are Nazis. I mean,
very scripted.
Yeah, very scripted. So you got him. You got the squad out there hating on America. You got poor John Fetterman, who is a elected Democrat U.S. senator, one of only 100 senators in the country, one of only, 47 Democrats. He's a pretty important guy from Pennsylvania, sounding like nobody else in his party right now. So, yeah, if we had an honest media, they would actually be reporting on this massive breakdown. And it's a factual statement. The Democratic Party in the United States of America is massively struggling. They're not raising money. They have a lack of leadership. And the final item that Scott mentioned, a complete bankruptcy when it comes to ideas. They're morally bankrupt and they're practically bankrupt. They're morally bankrupt in that they're doubling down on, quadrupling down on things that American voters rejected. They want to keep the border open. They want to continue to have fentanyl and humans trafficked, sex and otherwise, through our nation. They don't want to do anything about crime in their backyards, except for a few. If you notice, there's a few Democrats like Muriel Bowser, and I saw that there's this Democratic pastor down in Memphis who's like, bring them on in. Please save us from ourselves, and let's send in the National Guard. There's a few, but they're kind of like lone voices in the wilderness. No, the party leadership is definitely not adopting that tactic. They don't have any good ideas when it comes to kids, that's for sure. They want kids to be stuck in failing school districts because the horrible NEA unions say so. They won't let them take advantage of school choice ideas. And what are they doing to kids? They're lopping off perfectly healthy body parts and filling them full of hormones below the age of 12 for the sake of gender-affirming care. Well, it's all about the multi-billion-dollar transgender cult industry, which may have been large part gotten Charlie Kirk killed because he spoke out against them and apparently enraged some left-wing lunatic out in Utah. So they're a complete and epic failure as a party. Unfortunately, folks, sometimes you can't fix stupid, and that may not stop almost half the country from continuing to vote for Democrats just because that's what some people have always done. And they haven't realized or understood that their grandma's Democratic Party is no longer in existence. The party of Harry Truman, the party of JFK, even the party of Bill Clinton, or dare I say on a lot of issues, the party of Barack Obama, no longer exists. Joe Biden, as we now know, AutoPen president, was basically being run over by a bunch of 20 and 30-something left-wing progressives, and now look where we are. Donald Trump, the current president of the United States, was assassinated nearly twice because of these radicalized ideologues, and Charlie Kirk was taken down in his prime, hardly even to his prime, many would say, with many decades of awesome leadership and inspiration ahead of him. All of this, I believe, has led to a powerful emotional motivator for Republicans to take advantage of. Not in an evil way, not in an angry way, not in a cynical way, but in a positive way. We are the ones saying, turn down the temperature. We are the ones saying, argue and fight with your words, not your weapons. We are the ones saying more free speech, not less. We are the ones saying, let's reach out to young people, not cast them aside or gender affirmatively mutilate them. We are the ones who are appealing to people like Republicans have never done before. It's a combination of Donald Trump, the America First movement, and yes, incredible young leaders like the late, great Charlie Kirk. And that is the Speaker Stump Speech.
And they're doubling down on stupid. You know, as I mentioned yesterday, they are putting pressure on Hakeem Jeffries and Schumer to endorse Mondami. They still haven't done that. The governor of New York has endorsed him. And then a new survey from progressive firm Data Progress says 7 in 10 Democrats support shutting down the government in a couple of weeks.
Absolutely insanity. Republicans, wake up. Hello. Seize the day. Seize the moment that's before you. We got a guy that loves to seize the day. He's Nick Schroer. Nikki Four-Show Schroer. He is the state senator for the 2nd Senatorial District. Got a great event coming up tomorrow night. He'll join us next. Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show, 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
You're listening to Tim Jones and Chris Arps. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. Another hot day for Thursday. Not overly humid. A low of 65 is mild early on, but then a high of 93. Mostly sunny skies. May see some spot rain or a thunderstorm west of St. Louis, but more likely staying dry here later in the afternoon and evening and just hot. And then Friday, a high of 87 degrees. Not quite as hot, but still warm. However, we do have a 30% chance to see a few showers or a thunderstorm on Friday. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
Hey, good morning, everybody.
Live and local.
Welcome home. And whoosh, sitting in traffic, stuck in a jam, and being entertained by Vic and Thunderstealing Ken.
This is News Talk STL.
Hey guys, I want to tell you about my own experience with the Dental Link in Baldwin. Dr. Link and his team, they're true pioneers in modern dental implant dentistry. I went through the mini dental implant process myself, and I can tell you firsthand it was less invasive, less painful, and the recovery time was so much quicker than I expected. And I'm not the only one in my family who trusts Dr. Link. My wife and even my father-in-law, who moved to St. Louis about 6 months ago, they're patients too, which tells you how much confidence we have in the Dental Link. If you're like me and you are missing a tooth or teeth, or you're struggling with loose dentures, many dental implants may be the solution you've been waiting for. And here's the best part. They cost much less than traditional implants. The Dental Link is a state-of-the-art facility right on Manchester Road in Baldwin, offering everything from cosmetic dentistry to implants. Take it from me and my family. If you want your smile back with confidence, call the Dental Link today at 314-794-6464 or visit dentallink.com.
Hi, Kirk Hilsinger here, and I'm the new chairman of the St. Louis Republican Central Committee. I invite you to our meetings that take place the first Thursday of every month at 3710 Hampton Avenue. You can stay connected with us to learn more about how you can get involved, make your voice heard, and contribute to our shared goals. Together, we can make a difference in the city of St. Louis and the state of Missouri. For more info, visit our new website at stl-gop.com. That's stl-gop.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC. Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
SR1 Sundays.
Hi, this is Elizabeth Kaiser. Be sure and check out my show, Straight Lines, this and every Sunday at 8 p.m., right after Stand and Fight, part of SR1 Sundays. Let's meet right here and let's peel back some layers of this crazy world, and you might be surprised at what we find. Straight Lines with Elizabeth Kaiser on SR1 Sundays at 8 p.m., right here on 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
Straight Lines with Elizabeth Kaiser on News Talk STL.
Hey, it's Jamie Allman here for The Barn in beautiful Columbia, Illinois, offering a unique experience with an upscale feel that's sure to make your visit unforgettable. More than 100 different bourbons, 30 vodkas, plus an expansive outdoor patio, upstairs banquet facility, seating up to 50. You can reserve that. Call for rates. Live music every Friday and Saturday. Last Queen Standing. And extreme bar bingo every Thursday, plus Tequila Tuesdays. I'm heading over there right now, The Barn, right there in gorgeous Columbia, Illinois.
This hour of Jones and Arps is brought to you by Stifel. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. Dropping truth bombs and making you think. It's the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show.
Also tonight, the County Council voted down a resolution to recognize slain conservative activist Charlie Kirk. He was shot and killed while speaking at Utah Valley University last week. Councilman Mark Harder, a Republican, requested the resolution. Several people spoke out tonight. Those against it called Kirk's views divisive.
Honoring those who openly disparage civil rights protections, it sends the wrong message to our children and neighbors about the kind of leadership worth emulating.
Well, the largely left-wing, liberal-dominated St. Louis County Council may not want to honor somebody who believed in Jesus, freedom, and liberty, but I bet our next guest might be willing to file such a resolution on the state level. Let's bring him in now. He is State Senator Nick Schroer. Nikki 12 Show Schroer joining us once again. Nick, thanks for all the work you do for all of us here at News Talk STL. It's great to have you back with us.
Thanks.
Well, thank you guys for all you do. And I think I'll be seeing you guys live and in color tomorrow at our kickoff.
What do you mean in color? Is that a racial joke against me?
It probably
Well,
is.
I did see your bond picture. I saw your bond, black bond. And I'll tell you what, Chris, you look like you could kick some ass. So I'm not messing with you. If that offended you, I'm sorry.
I'm not offended. Thank you, my friend.
Dark MAGA. Yeah, indeed. So, Nick, even though the largely left-wing liberal-run St. Louis County Council can't bring it to themselves to pay just a little bit of respect to a slain young 31-year-old leader who is doing nothing more than talking about Jesus Christ, freedom, and liberty, I bet you, as the chairman of the Freedom Caucus, may be able to get a resolution across the finish line at the state level. What do you think about that?
Well, it's going to take some heavy lifting. It's something that I've already talked to my brothers and sisters in the Freedom Caucus about. And either other members who are coming up asking to be a part of the Freedom Caucus. You know, the media has said we've been dead 2 different times, and we come back stronger than ever, getting IP reform done, 7-1 map done. But this resolution or day in honor to honor Charlie Kirk, that's something that we're already talking about. And I think with pre-filing, you're going to see every single member of the Freedom Caucus filing some sort of resolution or a day to honor Charlie Kirk, because you hit the nail on the head, Tim. This is a guy who was a civil rights leader, was just a Christian leader, going into churches all over America, going to college campuses all over America. And the 10 plus years that I've been following, the guy has amassed a laundry list of accomplishments, but even greater, he's going into the Lion's Den, these liberal campuses, and coming out with supporters of all ages. And that's where the impact truly has been. You go to any college campus, Mizzou, UMSL, Lindenwood around here in the state of Missouri, you go to different ones across the United States, and the guy has amassed a huge following because he listens, he convinces with statistics that are fact-checked in real time, and he came out with a ton of supporters when he went into the Lion's Den being in the minority.
You know, Senator, the Democrats ought to always try to portray themselves as the party of compassion, the party that cares about people. But there was an ugly incident last week in the state legislature during the debate for IP reform and redistricting. And that was a very crude message that was sent out to Cecily Williams, who is a freshman representative in Jefferson County. I don't even want to repeat it. It is so vile. But did I read somewhere that Democratic representative has been censored?
Well, I think with the special session, the censure has not happened yet. I think it will. But little Jimmy Dean or Jeremy Dean, I'm sorry, the guy's got sausage on his mind because the text message was so grotesque that it even makes somebody with a warped sense of humor kind of just say that's a little bit too much. And Cecily is one, Representative Cecily Williams from Jefferson County is one who has shared her story of abuse and spousal abuse and trying to allow and getting a bill across the finish line, trying to let women who are battered, who are in abuse situations, go through a divorce even if they're pregnant. She shared her story. This jackass Democrat knew the story because he served with her and was on those committees and decided to send her these grotesque things anyway in an attempt to bully her, just like the Communist Manifesto and Saul Alinsky's Rules for Radicals has dictated. That's what they should do. It's despicable.
Nick, talk about the historic nature of this just concluded extraordinary session, as we call it, whereby initiative petition reform and a 7-1 congressional map, two things that should have gotten across the finish line years ago, finally got across the finish line this summer.
Well, it's really unique because you've got a band of outlaws in the Missouri Freedom Caucus. We've only got 2 members in the Senate. I know the Dems like to laugh at us and say, oh, you guys only have 2 members in your caucus in the Senate and about 12, 13 in the Missouri House. But we were able to accomplish something that the vast majority has not been able to do for 10, 20, 30 plus years. And I was the one that offered the 7-1 map when I was in the House in 2022. We didn't have leadership on board in the governor's office. We didn't have leadership on board when Joe Biden was in office. Hakeem Jeffries, Nancy Pelosi, none of these people were helpful to the Republican Party. But insert me into the Missouri Senate, teaming with Adam Schnelting. We've got new leadership with Cindy O'Laughlin and Tony Lukemeyer, new leadership in the House. The Freedom Caucus is saying, Governor, we need you. We need you to team up with President Donald J. Trump 4547 to get the ball rolling when it comes to not only redistricting, because we've seen the Democrat Party change. It's not the same Democrat Party of JFK or your grandpa's Democrat Party. This is a party that is allowing for violent, illegal immigrants to just come right on in, some of them with weapons of mass destruction. This is the same Democrat Party that's now prioritizing, painting over memorials on college campuses to Charlie Kirk and putting Black Lives Matter, Trans Lives Matter. They're more concerned with chopping off private parts of minor children than they are actually trying to bridge that gap when they're calling for unity. So yes, one vote in Congress absolutely will matter. So seeing all of the Republican Party leadership coming together to prioritize things that the people have been kicking and screaming about for a long time, it's refreshing. And the other part is the Democrats, who have gotten their way in the supermajority Republican Party in the state of Missouri for far too long, are now kicking and screaming on the Senate floor, talking about cheating, talking about, hey, it never used to be this way. Yeah, it never used to be this way. The Missouri Republican Party has been able to flex their muscle, but they've decided not to. And finally, thanks to all of these different parts of the Republican Party coming together, we are finally flexing that muscle. And I think the people are very pleased to see that.
Senator, also last week after the end of the session, Springfield area Senator Lincoln Huff was removed from his chairmanship of the Appropriations Committee. Insiders and people that watch this stuff pretty closely are predicting that he's going to be a bull in the china shop next session because he is term limited. What's your predictions and what are your thoughts on his removal as the Appropriations Chair?
Well, it's very, very interesting because if you look back, I think it was 2 years ago, maybe even a year ago, we had a bunch of Missouri Freedom Caucus members that were removed from their chairmanships and their parking spots removed. And they even threatened to come take our trash cans and couches and all of the office furniture because they said we weren't acting appropriately. Now, I will tell you, even though Lincoln Huff and the Democrats and the news media are saying, oh, this is unheard of, that people don't get pulled of their chairmanships, they are missing 2022 or 2024, whenever the heck that happened. But they're also not taking into account that this new who came in, Cindy O'Laughlin, she made a deal with him saying, hey, I understand you thought you were going to become lieutenant governor. You've got a year, and then I'm moving in a different direction. The entire Republican caucus knew that this was going to happen. So I don't know why the crocodile tears are happening, why the media is just eating it up to try and put more division between the Republicans. And look, I'll tell you this, if the end of this special session is going to be any indication of what to look forward to next year, you're going to have a strong Republican Party that's prioritizing the will of the people and going to steamroll the Democrats if they want to kick and scream like they did during the special session, whether Lincoln Huff's with them or whether he's with us. I am very pleased to see the Republican Party is finally unifying to say, all right, it's time for tax cuts. Personal property tax, get it out of here. Income tax, get it out of here. Education choice, because we see the brainwashing happening in these government schools. That has to happen. So I firmly believe if we can keep our eyes set on the prize, this next year will probably be the most effective one we've ever seen.
Laying out the agenda for 2026 there, Missouri State Senator Nick Schroer. Nick, can't believe it's been 3 years, my friend, already heading into year 4 of your first term as a state senator, which means it's time to run for re-election, and you're having a big party to make sure everybody notices. Tell us all the details.
Well, it is that our good friends, Mark Sutherland and Rick Pogue and Derek Grier, all those rowdy crew who own Stone Ledge out in Defiance, Missouri, Stone Ledge Distillery. We're going to be kicking it off at 6 p.m. tomorrow night. We've got a rock star musician, Jim Keefe. He's played with Freedom 13, played at a lot of patriotic events. We're going to have guest speakers. Our very own Tim Jones from News Talk STL will be the MC.
That's the rumor.
For the evening. We'll have, unless somebody tells me otherwise. We'll have Joe Brazel, Rick Pogue, many different people speaking, and I will get up there and I'm unveiling the new party platform, which is Dark MAGA. We are sick and tired of biting our tongues. We are sick, and I'm not talking about the Chris Arps Dark MAGA, Black Bond. But maybe, look, you can jump on board too.
There you
go. After the death, after the murder of Charlie Kirk, the Republican Party needs to grow a spine or grow a pair and stand up to do what's right. And getting told that we're Nazis and fascists just because we want to reinstitute freedom and liberty within the Republican Party. Look, as Eric Schmidt said it best, we're tired of the BS. So let's keep moving forward, a unified Republican Party. We're not going to agree on everything, but keep our eyes set on that party platform. With the Missouri Freedom Caucus, the Republican Party is headed in the right direction.
Mm-hmm. That is State Senator Nick Schroer. He's at Nick B. Schroer on Twitter X. And you can find out all the information about the big kickoff party on our website. Yeah, it's featured up there at newstalkstl.com. Nick, God bless you. Thanks for everything you do, not only for Republicans in the state, but for all Missourians under the banner of freedom and liberty. And we look forward to seeing you live tomorrow night.
Thank you, Senator.
See y'all then. God bless y'all.
God bless you, my friend.
As well. 5:43 in the PM. We got some very special guests coming up next, Chris, don't we?
We do. STL Windows and Doors. These guys have a great service. Stay tuned. It's an amazing thing that they do.
We're going to bring in Andy and Dan and Chris into the studio. We're going to have the whole, what do they say, fam damly in here next on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show, 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL.
It's the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. Another hot day for Thursday. Not overly humid. A low of 65 is mild early on, but then a high of 93. Mostly sunny skies. May see some spot rain or a thunderstorm west of St. Louis, but more likely staying dry here later in the afternoon and evening and just hot. And then Friday, a high of 87 degrees. Not quite as hot, but still warm. However, we do have a 30% chance to see a few showers or a thunderstorm on Friday. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
The attack on Charlie Kirk was an attack on free speech. What about the generation coming up next in their free speech? We'll talk to author Keith Gross about that Thursday at 9:41.
Weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
Comprehensive Chiropractic and Sports Performance, the premier chiropractic and sports performance facility in the region. They have assisted myself, my family members, my friends, my colleagues, my coworkers, my neighbors on numerous occasions recover from all sorts of day-to-day aches and pains and more acute and chronic injuries as well. You know why? because they can take care of you from stem to stern. Love the docs at Comprehensive Chiropractic, Doctors Fader and Benton and Gorman. They're fantastic practitioners that sit and take the time to listen to what your aches and pains and worries might be. They want to treat you holistically, right? So it's not just go in and, people will say, oh, crack the back and then you're done. No, they take the time to figure out, okay, what's the mechanism of injury? How did this result? How long have you been dealing with it? And how can we give you a treatment regimen that will fix it? I had an elbow problem. I've completely forgotten about it because the pain and the worry and the agony are completely gone. I sometimes have to remember, oh yeah, I did have that elbow thing and it's gone. It's fine. I had like a really bad tendonitis area, golfer's elbow, probably in my case, some call it tennis elbow. And after some really unique treatments of some acupuncture and some kind of sonic wave therapy, it's all better. It took like 2 or 3 treatments and then it was done. Very affordable care as well. The Studio Health and Wellness Center upstairs, Pilates and yoga classes, licensed massage therapists, personal training. They can help you with your diet and your nutrition with the proper supplements and so much more. This is a top to bottom, stem to stern operation. We're going to get Dr. Fader on here in the near future. Talked about what we need to do with the changing of the weather and the seasons heading into the colder times. How we need to keep exercising and keep ourselves limber and moving. All right, Comprehensive Chiropractic. Look them up at cchiropractic.com. Comprehensive Chiropractic, cchiropractic.com. Comprehensive Chiropractic for all your comprehensive healthcare needs.
Jamie Allman here with the Allman Report. Pleased to be with Jordan Rosenblum. Google the bagel loan. That's what it's all about. Jordan, tell me about purchasing a home, brother.
Purchasing a home right now, it's a tough market. You're going to see a lot of competition. On the bagel loan that we have, you're going to have no closing costs, no title fees, no appraisal fees, no lender fees. Saves an average client almost $4,000 on a transaction. Customer service, unbelievable. Text, call anytime.
As I know, as a real estate agent, Google the bagel loan. Google the bagel loan, folks.
NMLS number 226715.
Dude, this house is perfect. Crumbs everywhere, sticky counters. I've already texted the colonies.
Sweet, I'll bring my 500 cousins. This'll be the biggest ant rager of the summer.
Let's party! Wait, oh, what's that sound? Oh, no, it's those trucks with the green wheels. Party's over, man. Party's over.
This is Derek, the owner of All Solutions Pest Control. We'd love to help you out. Give us a call today for a free estimate at 636-486-7888.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
Scott, can you believe it's already been more than a decade since the Queen of Carpets sold flooring to St. Louis area contractors?
I know, but I don't have to be a king to offer contractors today's lowest prices.
Yes, contractors owe it to their customers and themselves to shop at Best Buy Flooring for the largest in-stock selection of carpet, carpet tile, sheet vinyl, laminate, hardwood, luxury vinyl plank, and luxury vinyl tile.
Plus 3 convenient locations, North County, South County, and Metro East.
Open 7 days a week.
Best flooring, best selection, Best Buy. Best Buy Flooring.
Connor Roofing. You can count on Connor. Connor Roofing is now a 2-time winner of the National Best of the Best Award for customer satisfaction for roofing, storm damage restoration, siding, gutters, both residential and commercial. Please visit ConnorRoofing.com for an estimate. And remember, you can count on Connor.
It's the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show.
548 on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. And what a perfect song to come in with. So fresh and so clean, because we have the guys from St. Louis Windows and Doors in with us. We're going to talk about their new business, stlouiswindowcleaners.com. With me is Andy Lombardozzi. He's the owner. I said it right. And we also have Dan Jaycox. He is the sales manager. And Chris Kemplin, COO of the company. I've been raving about this service for the last 2 weeks. We had you guys come out, and we've lived in our house for 14 years. I don't think the windows we haven't cleaned the windows in 14 years. I don't think they've been cleaned the 14 years prior to that. My wife and I were just so amazed after the job was done of just how clear these windows were. We were actually thinking, oh my God, there's no glass in the windows. It's so clear. And the amazing thing about it too, it's been a couple of weeks. They're still clear after all this time. It's not something where, okay, they're dirty now. It really, really lasts. First of all, tell us about why you guys got into the window cleaning business besides St. Louis Windows and Doors. What brought you into that business?
So we kind of felt that it was a no-brainer. We're
Mhm.
already, installing new windows in
Right.
people's houses. We're installing, all these new products into people's homes. We're dealing with windows. That's what we
Right.
do every single day. So we thought it'd be a good addition business to put into play. We feel like it's a service that a lot of people, like you just said, kind of ignore.
Yeah.
I can't lived in my house probably about 17 years. I think that it's been about that long since mine have been washed as well. So
Exactly.
yeah, the gentleman that we got doing the work is meticulous,
Oh.
does an outstanding job. He very detail oriented, and he stays on it until it's clean. So outstanding. But the business, yeah, I mean, kind of a no-brainer for us to get
Mhm.
into. Something we felt, why not? Not a huge startup cost. Started doing a lot of research on, what it entails, what does it look like to do it professionally, and decided to take it on and get it going.
So good news. My wife and I are neat freaks, and so we have this done at least once a year. We haven't done it yet this fall, so I'm going to be calling you guys now. If people are like, "Yeah, I got to get my windows clean before the winter winds and the cold and everything," where do they go? Website, phone number, and what's your service region in general?
Yeah, so we're generally the greater St. Louis region. They can go to stlwindowcleaners.com. There's an online form you can fill out there. Our phone number is 314-477-5953. But yeah, we're happy to come out. We can give you a free estimate. It's a fantastic service as Chris mentioned, and Tony or Anthony mentioned Andy, sorry.
Yeah.
Jeez. I've got a brother named
My brother.
Brother named Anthony.
Getting all formal too, Anthony.
Yeah.
Family business.
But, right. But he's meticulous. He's very, very good at what he does, and he really enjoys it.
Excellent.
Now, when my wife and I came out there to visit, you kind of showed us the process. You showed us the tank that you guys have built for this.
Yep.
And the one thing that just really stuck in my mind is the water is triple filtered.
Yep.
It is really, really pure, and you can't drink it. Explain why you don't want to drink this water.
So, Chris, I'm not a doctor.
You play one on the radio?
No, I don't do that either. But I'll explain it as I know. The filters strip all the mineral out of the water. Because of that, when you ingest it, your body's going to want to, or the water's going to want to take that.
Have you
mineral
tried
out of
that
your
personally,
body.
though?
I'm not a doctor. I've not tried it. I don't play one on TV. But yeah, it's not advised to drink it. But what it does is when the water dries on the window, there's nothing left behind.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about the I guess the foundation of the business, right? The windows and the doors themselves. So what does that look like? Like why should someone in News Talk STL Nation give you guys a call, and what can you do to clean up and dress up and improve upon some of the most important things in a home, which is the membrane to the outdoors, the windows and the doors? Who wants to jump in on that one?
Well, I can jump in on that. So the cleaning the windows does a few things. It allows you to see through the windows clearly, but it also gives an opportunity to inspect things, to clean the weeping system in the window, things like that. If those are left to build up and not drain correctly, then you might get water infiltration in the house, which is obviously not a good thing. So, but do you have anything to add to that, or?
Yeah, I mean, we're also kind of looking into and researching, like, when you have all that dirt and crud just built up on your glass, I mean, is that doing anything to the low E on the glass? Is that affecting that negatively? The argon gases that fill that double pane glass unit. So those are things that we're looking into as well.
We're gonna get Dan here into the conversation. One thing, besides just having crystal clear windows and your house looking good from the street, this also extends the life of the windows as well. Explain that.
Yeah, I mean, really on keeping your windows clean, it always you're going to see any defect or anything that's going to pop out. So if you got seals that are starting to break, or you're having issues even with like water infiltration or anything like that, that's going to come out when we're hitting them with water. You're going to see when we get done cleaning a window, if it doesn't get clean because we can't get between the panes of glass, then you might be time to express, like, hey, let's get these things updated. They're hitting their 20-25 year mark. We got to start thinking about getting these things set up to date. I mean, out in the field, myself and my guys, we're always hearing about people wanting a certain type of window to clean and this and that. And we'll now jokingly say, well, how often do you actually clean? We're like, well, we never. That's
how we were, man.
So we feed each other. If Chris, our cleaner's out there, he sees some issue, he's gonna immediately bring it to attention, talk to us about it. Homeowners will touch base, we'll give them the best advice possible, help them out where we can. And on the other side, we'll talk to homeowners about the best type of window. What are they trying to achieve? Can we offer the service of cleaning alongside the new windows? So it's really just something that we really, all the way around, we want to not just be a part of getting you some new windows and then leave you to fend for yourself. If you want some help keeping, maintaining, and going along with all that, this is the service that allows for that.
And also, too, you guys just don't clean the windows as well. You also repair screens. We had to have 3 or 4 screens replaced. We appreciate that part of the service. Talk about that as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's it's actually a fairly simple thing to do. Not a lot of people know that. Not everybody's YouTubed that video yet. So it's not super difficult to do. So it's something that, we just keep a few rolls of screen on the van. As we see issues, we like to bring them up. And if we can fix them on site, we're going to fix them on site. So rescreen's kind of a no-brainer to put in with that service.
And to be honest, we had no idea that our windows even needed new screens until they were clean. Chris was like, hey, you got 4 windows that need rescreening. It was like, oh, okay, cool. And we'll fix that for you. And I was like, thanks.
Yeah.
Andy, talk about the replacement window options you have. What kind of replacement windows do you guys offer? Are you guys kind of standardized or custom or both? Or what can you do if a homeowner is looking to improve upon the windows that they have in their home that are maybe now 20, 25 years old?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So we custom measure everything. So there are standard sizes out there in the window and door world. But we custom measure everything. We want to make sure that we fit to the opening that you have. We're selling any different configuration of window, from double hungs to sliders to casements to bays, bows, anything that's in the window universe, we're installing that. But yeah, we certainly want to make sure that we get somebody out there. Me personally will show up out to every job, measure it, make sure that it fits the opening that you have.
And also, too, this is not just residential, also commercial as well. Talk about that as well, guys.
As far as the window cleaning, yes, we will do commercial, no problem.
Now you're not doing skyscrapers. Now
We're not doing skyscrapers. We typically like to stay below, the 3-floor level.
Sure.
Preferably 2 floors and below.
Okay.
But we can get up higher. But yeah, so we'll do the inside and outside of a commercial business as well.
Guys, I highly recommend go to STLwindowsanddoors.com. You can get excellent window service. This is a family business. They've been in business 65 years. Me and Becky have gone out there. They are good people. You will be satisfied. Guys, thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
All right, Larry Connors USA is up next. Larry will talk about the text messages will be a prime part in prosecuting the man accused of assassinating Charlie Kirk, and reaction to Kirk's death from celebrities like Kid Rock and Jay Leno. You've been listening to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL. Drive safe and have a great evening.
Hey, it's Vic Corselli here with our great friend Chris Cooper from Serenity Wealth Management. Hi, Chris.
How are you, Vic?
I don't want to put anybody else down, but that when you go up and visit you at Serenity Wealth, your place looks like home.
So a lot of financial advisory offices, they have, the big mahogany desk or the big marble entryways and things like that. The stock market channel on the TV when you walk in the door, right? That doesn't really drive a good conversation. Good financial guidance and advice starts with a good conversation. People are nervous. People are afraid to talk about finances, right? And so you can see a little standoffish. Well, my objective is to try to have a good casual conversation.